Hey, what's up? I hope you guys can hear me. I'm gonna go live on YouTube and TikTok, so I'm gonna give you guys a chance to come in. We're catching up on some things I did. Vivek Ramaswamy and Ann Coulter. I want to cover that a little bit more in detail. Sometimes these videos don't actually cover it as well, so I'm gonna go over that just to let you guys know. TikTok, YouTube, introduce y'all to. No, anyway. So I'm gonna give it some time to let some people come into the room. But hey, what's going on, Peyton? I see people go into the room in YouTube as well as you come in. We're gonna go over one of the videos that I responded to, and it's got some comments that were not necessarily. I don't care if you don't like me. That ain't even a thing. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to like me, but the content is factual. So we're going to deal with the Ann Coulter video with Vivek Ramaswamy. If you didn't see it, go check it out. You can come back. But we're going to talk about that. Thank you, Jess. I appreciate you on YouTube. I'm here with YouTube and TikTok, so I'm going to try to give y'all both love. Hey, Atlanta girl, how you doing? Queen Jazzy, how y'all feeling? Thank you for the love. Thank you for the gifts on TikTok. So I'm going to go ahead and get it in. People come in as they go in. So the video that I had on Vivek and Ann Coulter, if you haven't seen it already, Ann Coulter literally just like emasculated Vivek Ramaswamy by immediately at the very beginning from the onset, he's doing this huge, this is a woman, this, and its introduction was just it was a good introduction. And, this is his first time, I think, doing a podcast, whatever. And the first thing she came out the bat was, oh, you're articulate. I can't tell an American black that. Now, a lot of people don't know history. Now, when I first started this TikTok and going on YouTube, you didn't see me before on TikTok, this whole thing started with me teaching about black brilliant people in American history. And so learning and also educating people about the facts, you start to realize how many people that are in power that are ignorant to the facts, that have no clue about real American history. All they know is the whitewash stuff. And it's kind of crazy, too, because you really think about it. A lot of these people have built their intellect in their area or their field based upon their education. But their education has been based upon many lies. So you really aren't educated about the country that you think you do. You don't know a lot about this country until you actually start to go find out the true information yourself. You have to literally go in and find out all this stuff. Like, for instance, how many of you guys, ladies, men, children, whatever, who's watching, how many of you guys know what the real meaning or the real reason we have the Statue of Liberty in America? How many? And if you know it, put it in here. Tell me what it is. Why do we have the Statue of Liberty? I know it has 1776, the tablet and all that. What is the Statue of Liberty about? France gave it to us, Jess. You're right. Why did France give it to us? What was it for? What was it celebrating? Democracy. Garland, love that. Garland Spears, democracy. Right. Now, what does that mean when they were talking about celebrating democracy? Black person, it was supposed to be a slave breaking free. Atlanta girl. Excuse me. For those you don't know, the Statue of Liberty is not about immigration. Give me your tired, yearning free and all that. Nah. Statue of Liberty was about the ending of slavery. You don't think about black people when you think about the Statue of Liberty, do you? That's on purpose in this country. You don't learn that the fact that the Statue of Liberty having a tablet saying 1776 was a racist thing. It wasn't real. That thing was given to us in 1868 or something like that. Somewhere in 18. What was it? A bicentennial? 1776. It's not 100 years later that we got it. The 1776 was placed there because shackles were supposed to be there. It was about the ending of slavery, becoming a democracy. And so what did they do? They're supposed to have chains. She was supposed to have chains on her that were broken. Broken chains. That's what it was supposed to be. But instead, we don't want any signs of black people in this. No signs of black people whatsoever. We only want signs of white greatness. Oh, we'll talk about when we won and came from Britain and broke free from that, and America yearning free. Bullshit. I call bullshit. And I challenge each and every one of you, don't listen to me. I'm Mr. Facts, straight facts, no chaser. Fuck your feelings, fuck my feelings. Go check it out and come back and call me a liar. I want you to. If I gotta have you want to hate me so much that you want to call me a liar, that's how I get to educate you on the truth, then so be it. I give two shits. I want you to learn the truth. The facts are, Statue of Liberty was given because a Frenchman who never set foot in America, by the way, wanted to be able to say to America, thank you for finally becoming a democracy, letting these people who are enslaved free. America, you are finally a democracy. That's what it was for. And he got a guy who was supposed to build the Statue of Liberty. Statue of Liberty is supposed to be a woman of color, not a black woman, but like an Egyptian woman. Instead of her wearing what she's wearing, she was supposed to wear, did you guys see, have you guys seen the Smurfs? I bullshit you not. I'm not lying this shit. You ever seen the Smurfs? You know that little hat that Papa Smurf wears? That's what she was supposed to wear. Yeah. That's what his original idea was. Forgot what the name of that particular hat, but it's like an Egyptian hat. And it was supposed to be one of two women of color to ring in freedom and to say that, you know, this country has finally changed its ways and let go of the shackles and let black people be free. Not people of color, black people. And that's what the Statue of Liberty was about. Now think about this. How many immigrants have come to this country? Yearning free, Statue of Liberty, wonderful thing. It's not what you thought it was. The French, that man partitioned an actual guy that built it. And the top, it was two parts of it. The base America built. The actual statue was built in France. The countries did not want to pay for this thing. Neither of them want to pay for it. So how was it built? Anybody know? Thank you for all you. I appreciate you. Anybody know how it was built? They raised money for it. Hey, Vincent, how y'all doing? They raised money for it from the people. Started out with rich people giving as much as they can donate, because each part, the bottom part, cost $250,000. The top part, the statue, also cost $250,000. They raised the money by the people. In America, $150,000 of that was given by rich white people. The remaining 103, they went over. They needed 100,000. They ended up with 103,000. How did they get that? I'm looking around. The newspaper person at the time, leader, I want to say it was the guy who was the Pulitzer Prize. I'm trying to think of the name, but it may not have been his last name. But newspaper giant at the time, which was a Jewish man. He went around in his newspaper. We all want some kind of fame and stardom to some degree, right? So getting your name in a newspaper back in the day, man, you was like a superstar. You was the ish. You can really be in a newspaper? Look, your name. So what he ended up doing is saying, I'll put your name in the newspaper for $1 or some particular amount of money. And people would raise money just to get $1 to see their name in the newspaper. And that's how he raised the $103,000. Now, the lady who wrote that poem in the side, "Give me your tired, yearning, free," her too was Jewish, and these two Jewish people ended up getting celebrated for this in the French as well, in America as well. But because they wanted immigrants to come into this country, Jewish immigrants, white immigrants, that's what it was kind of dedicated to. But in the newspapers in different places, especially black newspaper, I can't remember the name of the newspaper, but you could probably look it up. They wrote like basically you could throw that thing in the ocean because it doesn't mean shit to us, because it really doesn't mean what it's supposed to mean. America has bastardized it, has whitewashed it, has made it into something that it's not supposed to mean. It's supposed to be for us. You're supposed to be celebrating us, but no, you took the shackles away. And for those of y'all who don't believe me, go take a helicopter ride around the Statue of Liberty. I love the guy who built the Statue of Liberty. Why? Because he couldn't stand the fact of what America was doing. Because this thing was supposed to be about democracy and the ending of slaves and treating people of color, black people, not people of color, take it back, black people with respect, supposedly. Little did they know they were being lied to. It wasn't as great as America was billing it out to be. And that is the situation that happened with the Statue of Liberty. They ended up making it seem like they were doing something, and that guy himself said, "I'm not taking the shackles away. I'm just going to hide them. Because what I built was for what I meant it to be built for." And he went against the grain of these racist white people. This Frenchman put the shackles at her feet. Fly around. You'll see it at her feet. Because he wanted to still stand for what it was supposed to stand for. Freedom of black people. Not immigrants. Just because immigrants and families of immigrants raised the money to have it built because nobody else would, then it took on that moniker of immigration. And she was commissioned to write that poem, and they were commissioned to bring in more European immigrants into this country, just like they did in other countries, to kind of like take over that country so they can become more numbers wise, so they can become more superior in their minds. That's what that was about. History has lied to us. And when we start to find out the truth, they want to take history out of schools. They want to take history away, books away, because they don't want you to know the truth. They want you to stay ignorant. And why is that? There's a philosopher that literally coined this phrase, but it's like a paraphrase of it. It's not exact word for word. But you guys have known it. You've heard it. I'm pretty sure you heard it your whole life. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. These leaders know. They keep you ignorant. You don't know they're doing the same things to you over and over and over and over again. There is a reason why certain people in this country are poor. They keep doing the same things to you and telling you the history is not there for that. Oh, you're just, work harder. No. History proves over and over again. You'll see it repeating itself. And at this very moment, America's trying to repeat itself. How many people in here know how the enslavement of black people, let me take it back, how the enslavement of African people happened in this country? I'm reading some of your comments. The enslavement of black people, African people in this country, didn't happen because they were inferior. Didn't happen because, they were just, dumb and all this other stuff. Go back and check it. Like I said, don't take my word for it. Go search for it. I want you to hate what I'm saying so you can go out there and prove me wrong. But you're the one that's going to get suckered. You're going to find out I'm right. But that's okay. I want you to go. When you start to realize why they did it to the African. It wasn't because he was not smart. Before Paul Smith, we were kidnapped. We did come here as indentured servants at one point in time. Go check it out. That was not the first set of black people that made it to America. The first set of black people that made it to America were African, but they were indentured servants, just like the Irish. Now, that set of black people, African people, I keep saying black, but African people at the time, they came here as indentured servants, became freed, just like everybody else after 7 years, got property, hung out with white people, didn't have a problem because you know what? There was no such thing as white people at that time. They were only their culture. They were African, they were Irish, they were Native American, indigenous, they were European. That's what they were. There was really no gigantic difference. In fact, the Europeans said this. They said that, that wasn't my words. This is the Europeans' words at that time. They literally said the African was the most civilized culture they brought to this country at that time. Go look it up. Don't believe me? Go look it up. The most civilized culture that they brought here. Why? Because we taught them everything. We knew mathematical things that Europeans didn't know. We knew how to build things that Europeans couldn't build. We knew pottery and metalwork and all these things that they had not mastered. Farming, they had not. Bathing, they had not mastered. So how is a culture that you're taking everything from the inferior culture? See, that culture never thought of itself as superior or inferior. They just thought of themselves as, hey, live and let live type of thing. That's the same thing the indigenous and Native Americans, live and let live. It was the Europeans who came here with all this hate and vitriol and conquering shit. Like, you know, they just had to destroy everything and make it theirs. That wasn't the culture of indigenous natives, Africans. That wasn't their culture. They weren't trying to do that. That's what happened. But the European thought of the African as the most civilized culture. Ask yourself this question. What was the first culture that was on the New World, what they called it at that time? What was the first culture that they wanted to enslave? And I'll give you the hint, it wasn't Africans. I'm tell Ben Shapiro that. The first culture they wanted to enslave to do the labor for them for free, it wasn't Africans. Nope. It wasn't the natives or the indigenous. Nope, not Koreans. They didn't even let Koreans come into the country. I think it was mostly, the only culture they let in at that time, I think, was Chinese. And even then, they had some kind of exclusion act that they didn't even want them here. They had them here building the railroads. Right? It was the Irish. The Europeans couldn't stand the Irish. They hated them. They thought they was uncouth, drunkards, always fighting. That's what they thought of the Irish. They hated their guts. Why couldn't they enslave the Irish? I'll get to it. Yeah, Paul Smith. It was the Irish. The reason why they couldn't enslave the Irish first, that's who they wanted because they just couldn't stand them, was because during indentured servitude, the Irish are the main culture that kept running away. They kept breaking free. They didn't want to spend the 7 years and get the land because they were being treated subpar. Indentured servitude wasn't easy at all. It wasn't slavery, but it wasn't easy. So they couldn't take it. I ain't gonna say all of them, just some of them couldn't take it and ran and actually got freed from it and ran to Europe Spain and all the other countries and ratted them out. This is not what they said it was. No. And told other countries, do not go to the New World. Indentured servitude there is not what they said it was. So as the Europeans were traveling around trying to enlist people to come to the New World, word had got out, and many of them said, hell to the no. I know that's updated. But they were like, no, I'm not coming. Nope. So the numbers of people for them to be able to bring there from these other countries in the Caribbean and all these other places dwindled. So they got together and said, oh my God, we got to figure something out. What are we going to do? We can't build this new world. It's going to fail. So how are we going to change it? You know how they change it? They said, well, look, we got to bring these minds together. And this is what they said. They brought the greatest minds together, European minds together, to come up with an idea how to continue to build a new world with lesser people. So they came up with the idea of, we must make a culture that's already here a permanently enslaved culture. No more indentured servitude, permanently enslaved. And that's when they went for the Irish. The Irish got away and told them, so they was like, nope, can't do them because they're going to go back and tell, and it's going to mess up production. Couldn't do them. They thought of the indigenous, Native American. Why do you think they couldn't enslave the Native American? They were the second choice. Most people, they're dying, yeah. They made them the second choice, but they couldn't do them because their bright minds brought all these bright minds together. Their reasoning behind not making the Native American indigenous is because it's their land. America's, or the New World at the time, is vast. But these natives, indigenous people, this is their land. They could literally escape, and you won't find their butts for months, if not years. That'll halt everything. We can't go chasing them off in the areas where they know how to hide. They're the ones who are helping us navigate this place. We'll never get stuff done. The last choice was the African because they were further away from their country, and nobody in these European countries had went to Africa and alerted them that the New World was not what they said it was. Do you know how they decided how they implemented this? Because you got to think about it. You got African, you got all these other cultures together. Europeans, you got the Irish. I don't know so much about the Italian, but I know the Irish. How did they even implement this? It's like, how do you go from having a neighbor that you love and hang out with that helped you do pottery and y'all sitting out chilling and drinking ale together? How do you turn that person against his own friend? You got to think about it. Most people don't think about the intricate details of this. Think about it right now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's say one day your neighbor, no matter what race you are, think of another race that lives in that you can think of in your head. If you're white, think of somebody black. If you're black, think of somebody Latin, whatever. Think of a different race than you that you are cool with, your next door neighbor. Y'all done got tea together. Y'all done went out and ate at McDonald's and had a barbecue together. Think of one day when you wake up, your neighbors gather you, shackle you, and start treating you like absolute trash. The day that it started, rounding people up, they had no clue this stuff was going to happen. And ask yourself how. Why didn't they know what was happening? They had to notice that the neighbors started looking kind of strange at them. The way they did that. Should I be wearing my suit? The way they did that was through Christianity. The African was not Christian at the time. So in the churches, they were teaching these white people hatred toward the African person. They used how they brought them to the New World. A lot of them were prisoners of war, the African. A lot of the Irish were slaves in the Caribbean. But the African was brought there because they were prisoners of war. One tribe would trap another tribe and say, hey, we're going to sell them off. The hell with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it happened. So they tried to say that these people are degenerates. They're prisoners of war. The way to save their souls is to enslave them, to treat them like the barbarians they are. And these people, through church, through Christianity, shifted from loving thy neighbor to hating, unaliving, raping their neighbor, and breeding their neighbor. That first generation of enslaved people were being harmed by their friends. Their friends that they trusted. Some loved. Their friends did it to them. Now think about your neighbor that you care about, no matter what race, but other than yours, that you care about. When they were sick, you brought them soup. When their kid was hurt, you took them to the hospital. Just wake up one day and that person is graping you because they think you're less than human now. Ask yourself, what would you do? So we learn history, but we never really pay attention to the small details. For that to shift like that, you think that you never really thought of it. Most people have never thought of that. Now ask yourself, with the new set of Republicans, MAGA minions, out here talking about white nationalism, you know what I mean? And culture talking about WASP, even separating the differences between certain types of white people. What makes you think they're not going back to what they did before? See, you stay ignorant to the history, you don't see it repeating itself. If I educate you with fake facts, you don't realize that I have a set of facts and also a plan, a actual playbook of the past that you know nothing about because you don't know history that I'm repeating and you have no clue it's repeating. Not an ounce that you know that it's competing and going over and over again. This is repeating over, is basically what I'm saying. Mouth and need water. So, what they want to do is keep you ignorant. And when we're saying the truth, they want to destroy it. Don't talk. Don't talk about it. Don't listen to this guy. He don't know what he's talking about. But see, a person that tells you the truth wants you to check the facts for yourself. I want you to call me a liar, but I want you to do your research to prove I'm a liar. Bring me receipts. A person that wants to lie to you will never ask you to check him. He just wants you to believe him. A dictator wants you to believe what he says because I'm a strong man when they're actually weak and want you to follow them because they can't get you to follow him with good reasoning, but fear. So when I talk about the Project 2025, that's repeating what they did to the African. Going to churches, they're going through social media outlets and they're creating all these different plans. Back in the day, it used to be the playbook was going to the churches and infiltrating the churches and having the pastors and preachers preach this lie about the African so that they could hate the African and turn them into enslaved people and benefit from them for hundreds of years. Now, they have all these different Republican programs and groups that are constantly trying to change the Constitution. They got rid of women's rights. What do you think that's about? They don't care about life How do you going to talk about you care about pro-life, but once the baby's dead, you don't give a fuck if it lives or not? You don't even, Republicans won't even create a program that would feed the child after it's born. Why do you want the baby? Why do you care? You want to get rid of programs that would that would help that child live. Why do you care? Numbers. They do studies that you and I don't know about unless we research. There are millions, I'm saying probably billions of dollars spent every year to study the decline of the white race. What black person thinking about the decline of the black race? Asian? Y'all thinking about that? No, only people who have a superiority complex are thinking about when our numbers decreasing, because that's when our power decreases. We're trying to live and let live as black people, and mostly people of color. They're trying to dominate. How can I dominate? How can I dominate? How can I use people? How can our numbers increase? We're going to force white women to have babies. Think I'm lying. That kicker, literally talking about at a college graduation where women have fought the odds. Women who couldn't go to certain schools back in the day, couldn't vote, have fought the odds. They're that day celebrating their hard work. And this dipshit's gonna tell them basically be barefoot and pregnant because my wife did it. If I was his wife, I would have left his ass in the middle of the speech. Like, what the fuck you doing? Taking me back to 1950? 1776? See, I'm going to tell y'all something right now. This goes out to the racist white men. We will perish before we go back there. Perish. And so will you before we go back there. That's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now. If you're listening and you're on this, I'm going to tap into the racist line. Tap into it. We will perish before you go back there. But you have to understand the plan. They already took women's rights away. They're already on the chopping block of trying to take loving away, the loving case. They don't want you to marry outside your race because they're trying to purify the race. This is why I got a problem with Vivek talking about nationalism is not about race, even though there is a section of it. There's this other type about civics. Fuck you. Ain't no damn talking about no civics. Ain't one white person talking about nationalism said, we're talking about civic nationalism. It has all been white nationalism. I don't like people who divert the topic to save somebody else's ass. She literally told Vivek, you are not white. You're not a WASP. You won't be president for that reason. And he sat there and took that shit. On YouTube, I had a comment of a man I just answered to today on that particular topic. He's like, well, she was right and culture was right. And black people are so like emotional and white people are like basically superior militarily. And black people need to learn how to have a military mind. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? What is this idiot talking about? I mean, this dude's like dipshit on high. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? You keep pumping yourself up. I'm going to tell you right now. You do not have to pump yourself up if you already that. If you the man, you don't have to say you the man. You recognize it when you see me. I don't have to say what I'm great at. You see it and recognize it and you comment on it. Any man or woman that's got to always talk about, I'm the smartest, I'm the this, I'm the fastest, then get on the track and show me how fast you run. I'll let you know how fast you are. This man want to talk about military intellect. I'm like, okay, let's take it to the military. Seeing as how you have this brilliant white superior mind on strategy. We're going to use Vivek as an army and Ann Coulter as an army. So the army of Ann Coulter fired a shot, bow, at Vivek. He's hit, wounded. Instead of firing back, he sits there and talks to her and tries to say, what do we have in common? Militarily, how the hell is that a superior mind, racist white guy? Black people, you throw a bomb at me, I'm bombing back, and it's going to be harder. I ain't bombing even. And you want to call the person that actually gets into a war and fights back the weaker mind. But the one that sits there and tries to find some common ground is somehow the higher mind, the smarter person. No, your strategy sucks. I'm not going to get bombed on and not bomb back. Who does that? Your mom raised a punk. When you got beat up as a kid, you went home and wrote a letter and said sorry to the dude who kicked your ass. I'm like, what? And you the smart dude. Nah, bruh. Not at all. Your parents taught you wrong. And I can tell you flunked everything but racism. You got an A in that shit. But in logic, no. Straight flunk. So I had to tell him about himself. In less words even. That let him know that he didn't have to use all those damn words. I use a little bit less. But regardless, I love messing with those MAGA minion idiots. But anyway, one of the things that we talked about earlier on, getting back to the Ann Coulter and Vivek, Ann Coulter threw out that insult of saying, I can call you articulate because I can't call American black that. Okay. See, most people don't understand what calling a black person intellectual or articulate really means. See, this country, at least I know of, throws slight daggers. Excuse me, get some water. Minute racism. And they want the average white person doesn't recognize it because you've never been through it. So you act like you're a pro at racism and its varying stages or levels. A black person can recognize racism in a man or woman's eye movement. And you be like, eye movement? Yeah, you can learn it as eye movement. When they look at you like something about you stinks, just because you're black, it's not because you stink. But a white person seeing it, say, oh, he probably just wanted to sneeze. Dude, I've seen that 1,000 times from white people. And you're going to tell me what you thought it was and you just saw it once? Spare me your expertise. You're a neophyte. I'm an expert at this. And most black people, by the time they're 10, are experts at this, not neophytes. So spare me your ideology of what you think racism is and isn't. You don't know. You know when it gets to the N-word. But before you get to the N-word, there's 1,000 levels prior to that. And you don't recognize most of them. In fact, you probably do most of them and don't think that you're racist. I don't have a racist bone in my body. And then go out and do something racist. And when somebody tell you that, oh, it ain't racist, how do you get to determine what I just said you are? I just recognized it. You can't denounce something that I see. You can ignore it, but that doesn't mean it ain't true. I want to give Caucasian people like an understanding of how telling a black person that they're articulate. We know that we're articulate. We don't need like somebody to just say that to us, because what you understand is that the things you say oftentimes are a double statement, a double meaning. So when you say that I'm articulate, you're saying as a black person you're articulate. So you're saying most of my black people aren't? Is that what you're saying? Of course that's what you're saying, but you don't think of it like that. Now, let me switch it on you real quick. I told you the history of natives and indigenous and African people teaching Europeans how to bathe. Go look it up. Y'all some dirty motherfuckers back then, right? So you guys have a history of being less than cleanly. Cleanly, whatever. Less than clean. That's the history. You even see videos on TikTok. Oh, that's poor people that wash with wash rags and stuff like that. And oh, poor people take a bath every week or every day. They don't do that. We take a bath every 2. Oh, I don't wash my hair every day. I wash it like once every 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Right? Well, black people, Native American people, indigenous people take a bath every freaking day. Wash rag and all, mostly. Whatever they particularly call it in their culture. Soap, water, conditioner, all that. We treat ourselves to be very clean. Now ask yourself a question. I know some white people do that. Don't get me wrong. But I just want you to know, if you are a clean white person, would you like it if a black person walked up to you and say, baby, I'm impressed with your hygiene. You'd be like, what? Yeah, you appear to be very clean. Didn't know you people got clean. Your history is y'all are dirty. But you're very clean. Good for you. Would you like that? Would that be an insult to you, or would that be a compliment if I walked up to a white person and say, your cleanliness is impressive? You'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Oh, your kind is not really clean, but you, I can say you're almost spotless. You must actually bathe every day. Wow. You wash your hair? Doesn't look kinky, doesn't look oily. You look like you're clean. Now, do you understand what the hell we talking about? If you're walking up to a black person and say, oh, you're articulate, you're basically saying we normally aren't. The most educated group in America at this moment are black women. Do you walk up to white people in the South talking like, we went back there, back yonder, picked up the weeds and did this, that, and there, and Ricky over here, he got a little something on the mind. Do you walk over to him when he actually says something like, hey, Ricky, come over here? Do you walk over to him and say, you're articulate? No, you don't. Because you assumed, because he's white, he's articulate. You wouldn't walk over to him and be like, yo, you got problems with your English. What the fuck? You wouldn't say that either. See, oftentimes people who say things don't think that the opposite of what they're doing is like, oh, I wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Because you have a superiority complex. You think that if people speak your language better, then obviously, wow, you must have worked hard at it. No, I was just born here, just like you. So this language is just as much mine as it is yours. And on top of that, you don't speak the Queen's English. None of us do. So yours is a bastardized version as well. Right? So why are we competing with it? Just let people live and be who they are and quit acting like you're better than somebody. You're not. You're not. Enjoy the way you speak. I love the way Southern people speak. I enjoy it. I would never walk up to a Southern person and say, man, you didn't say that right. Maine, I don't care. Say Maine. So when we get to all this stuff about, we don't know the differences, the little minute details, but then you act like you it's okay to disrespect people based upon race and then act like you're not racist. I'm like, wait a minute. What she did was racist, point blank period. There's no reason to defend it. It's only to educate. And if you're not trying to educate her to get away from that mentality, that means you have no problem with that mentality becoming norm. Now, I'm not a person to encroach on anybody's rights and say she can't say it. I'm just saying there's consequences for everything. There are laws that I can't just walk up to somebody and sock them in the nose. I got the right to do so, but I will be going to jail. The same with you. Walk up to a black person and say something racist. What happens next might not be a word, but it will be an equal or even more transgression of what you just said. Bam! You deserved every ounce of it. We don't have to give you back the same thing you give us. And that goes for anybody else. If I walked up to a white person and said something disrespectful and they popped me in the face, I deserved it. Because I don't have to get an equal response to what I just did to them. So therefore, shut your mouth and you don't have to worry about it. Keep your feelings to yourself if you're trying to and do something to somebody and can't take the responses or the return from the energy that you give. That's why when I say fuck your feelings, you can say it right back to me. Or even worse if you want to. That's your thing. But I'm going to say what I say. You're going to say what you say. There's always going to be repercussions for it. So don't get mad when the repercussion comes. If you're worried about repercussions and what happens afterwards, then shut up. Now, with Vivek, he didn't bounce back. I mean, the thing with Vivek that tripped me out is that dude got disrespected, and then he went on to a podcast to try to explain it away. I was like, what? This lady just disrespected you, and you did nothing? You didn't go back at her looking like the Crypt Keeper? I mean, like a 50-year-old woman in a 99-year-old woman's body? I mean, something. Madam Wrinkles? I mean, you didn't do nothing. I mean, nothing. Just became the weakest human being on the planet. Got disrespected to your face, and all you did was, can I have another? This time on this cheek. It's the weakest shit I ever heard in my life. Thank you, Jay. I've never seen nothing like that. My mother would have told me to get her back. Like, boy, get that girl back. Don't be sitting there doing that. Crazy. Butch body. I saw that I just saw that was it yesterday? Late last night. She called her Butch body. Or was it today? One of the things she called her Butch body. I think I may have seen it this morning. She called her Butch body, MTG. She got called Butch body. When she called her bleach blonde, Butch body, I was like, badly built or something. That's what I'm talking about. He could have did something like that, but no. It's like crazy. And the thing that gets me is when people try to tell black people like, oh, you got to calm down and, you don't have to be disrespectful. I'm like, no, you don't get to tell me how to respond. Open your mouth and you shall get what I give. You don't get to tell me the rules after you don't broke them. You feel me? You can't tell me, oh, I just called you long lashes or fake long lash. All right. You don't understand. Black people, we are built different when it comes to talk about dissing people. We are built different. You'd be like, oh, you're like, beach blonde. Butch built. I mean, bad body. I mean, come on. That hurt her feelings for the next 6 months. What's up, Sandra? Butch body, yeah. So that's what happens with that. Now, what I was trying to convey is when I told you guys about the history of enslavement, I want people to understand that type of thing. I know everybody says, oh, it's not going to happen again. You don't know history. It will repeat itself. And I know we seem so far removed from it. We were so far removed from believing that they were going to take the rights of Roe versus Wade away. What I am getting tired of is people playing the game of wait and see. I don't think they'll do that. And then they do it. And then they do it again to you. They took the rights of women away. Every state gets to determine how they're going to do it. One state tried to go back to like 1850 or 1860 something. I'm like, well, damn. There's literally, hey, look, I don't know what's up with some of these, I'm guessing they're racist, but some of these white men who are leaders, like senators or House representatives. I don't know if y'all got a chance to see this white guy literally tried to argue that with abortion and stuff like that. He tried to justify saying, hey, you know, when these girls are at a ripe age and fertile, you know, how about the opportunity of marriage? You're talking about children getting pregnant. And you're trying to, what is this, Little House on the Prairie? The hell is he talking about? How far back is this fool going? Back in at that time, they was marrying at 13. They was old maids at 16. These fools are trying to go back there. And these people are getting empowered to vote for this trash, to bring these things up as bills. And we sitting back here like waiting, like, that ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. It's happening. You don't bring this stuff up to the forefront if you ain't really trying to make it happen. It's happening. And you need to be aware of all this insane stuff they're trying to bring back. Make America great again. These men are trying to date, marry, and impregnate children. And saying it on the House floors in their cities. In the open, that news is capturing it. I mean, why aren't they investigating this man to see if he's a pedophile? Who fights for something like that if that's not something they want? So much that they would fight for it in public. Make it legal to grape. I'm telling you. And then you got to also think about with this Project 2025 thing. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, the mic I'm talking about. I'm sorry, but this Project 2025 thing, I don't understand. And maybe somebody's a lawyer in here. Maybe somebody's a congressional lawyer or something can give us some education. I'll read it if you have something. Thank you, still, Katie. I don't get how Project 2025 can actually be a thing. I think that is treason to America. And I'm like, how can you openly talk about treason and not have the government just like, I mean, think about this. Martin Luther King was out there trying to get equal rights, formulating people to fight for their rights peacefully. Nothing he was doing was trying to change the way America is. They just wanted black people to be included, which is kind of changing, but being black people included in the cycle. You didn't have to create nothing new for us. All you had to do was include us in it instead of saying we're excluded. And we could be in that same circle of everybody's everybody. We're wonderful. We're all together. We're all the same. But he did not try and change America from being a democracy to a dictatorship or anything of the structure of America itself. And they called this man a terrorist at one point. They bugged his house, videotaped him, recorded him, followed him. You're telling me there's a group of white men out here in multiple groups formulating with millions of dollars behind them Project 2025 that's talking about getting rid of the CIA and FBI and out of school. I mean, not like changing it, getting rid of it. And getting rid of these professionals who know what they're doing and bringing in people who are just loyal to the president. If any culture outside of white crazy ass men came up with that shit, somehow where they actually meet would have been bombed. Don't believe me? Go back to Greenwood, Black Wall Street. All they did was succeed beyond the white people around them and they blew their asses up and killed them. Let a person of color come up with a playbook to destroy democracy. They would be under the ground right now. Every last one of them. So ask me, why aren't we actually like arresting these people for literally talking? And here's the thing, it is written down. They got the playbook. It ain't a situation where they're thinking about it. You can't arrest somebody who got something in their mind. You don't know what's going on. They have put millions, if not billions, behind it. They have think tanks. They have organizations to try and implement this. They've got 50 or not 50, so many thousands. I want to say 50,000, whatever, people set to replace the people in all of these functions, FBI, CIA, sycophants to replace them. They already are interviewing these people that say they will be loyal to the president and take over as FBI, and to seek out protesters, arrest them. This is on record. It was just talked about in the House. Was it the House? Yeah, the House. Yeah, the House. It was just talked about in the House. How can you have a piece of paper and the person in front of you without attacking that person? That person and the people talking about this should be behind bars right this minute for plotting a coup of the American democracy. And they're out here debating this shit in Congress. They should be rounding them all up and putting them in jail for trying to mess with the country. If you try to implement this, not even trying to implement it, just plotting, having the thorough thought, you can go to jail for plotting. If I wanted to plot against some legal or federal force here, federal office here, and I got a plot, I don't have to go through with it. I just have to have a plan to do so. And Project 2025 is a terrorist idea toward our country. It's trying to destroy democracy. And they're not being arrested. They're not. These people who are protesting Palestine and Israel, they're being, or at least Israel, they're being arrested. College students. But these rich white men and their sycophants are trying to take over the country. And we're talking about, you want Project 25? Let's talk about it in Congress. Say what? It's insane, y'all. I don't understand why no news organization is talking about this. I don't understand why people aren't like yelling from the mountaintops like, what the hell is this? Martin Luther King gets assassinated for trying to have equality. These motherfuckers get to go to Congress and talk about taking over the fucking country and making a dictatorship? America doesn't want that. The majority of Americans don't want that. So protect America, government. Get rid of these sycophants trying to destroy what we want. You're going to tell me the small percentage you're going to allow them to do what they're doing? Orchestrate a coup on democracy, and you just sitting back like, they just talking. What? January 6th, fool. It's already proof. You don't need it anymore. It just doesn't make sense to me, people. That's why I say history's repeating itself. The fact that Democrats aren't yelling from the mountaintops about this puts a little question in my heart about it. I'm talking about Democrat leaders. I'm like, and I know the black leaders are talking a little bit about it, but where are these white leaders saying, yo, this shit's got to stop? They're just hoping they don't lose the election. They lose the election and shit goes to the wayside. But you think these men, the psychotic men that came up with this shit, are going to stop with Trump? No. They spent hundreds, if not millions, if not billions of dollars formulating this. It's just a matter of time when they can implement it. And if it takes 10 years after Trump, 20 years after Trump, they're going to do it. Why? Because the Republican Party is dying, people. It's dying. They know they'll never have another president ever, ever, ever again. That's why they're trying to get a dictatorship. Why won't they have another Republican again? Because Republicans aren't. They've given up on the idea of creating policies to help people. Ask yourself, what policy have they come up with to help Americans? I don't care who. Poor white Americans, middle class Americans. They just talk about the rich, the opulent. They don't talk about anybody else. What they got for you? Tax breaks? That's for the opulent. That ain't for you. Your tax break ain't permanent. Theirs is. At least they're trying to make it permanent. I think they made it permanent for more years than we had it. But that's what they want to do. And I don't understand. And again, because of racism, because of like the idea that we continue. I saw an interview with Don Lemon. I didn't see it all. And Sonny Hostin, if y'all got a chance to check that out. It seemed like it was pretty good. I didn't get to watch it all. But when they started talking, one of the things they were saying, and I used to be like this. I'm going to tell you 100. I used to be like this, no longer. But Sonny Hostin and Don Lemon were both kind of like chatting and saying, you know, we can't solve this problem and, you know, figure it out unless, you know, we bring these publicans, whatever they are, these people to the table. We just can't keep calling them stupid. And, you know, she was saying pretty much everything I'm doing. She's like, can't keep them calling them stupid, and that, you know, that's not going to work. They're not going to come together like that. And I'm listening to it because I used to be like that before Trump became president. I was 100% Sonny Hostin on that. 100. But I had years to realize this shit ain't reversing. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. This man is breaking laws and people are like, that's not getting better. And listening to them is nothing. They're like, oh, when you make fun of them, they go the other way and they take grip. And I'm like, excuse me. They're not listening to you. They never did listen to you. They've been waiting for their racist messiah for the longest time, and Trump is fulfilling that void. How else do you think that these people just start grasping on to everything that they don't believe in anymore? They used to believe in. Family, they don't care about family. Even about having babies, that ain't nothing about a numbers game. Once the baby's born, they don't care about the baby. So why do you want the baby? They talk about all these things. They want power. And they want to fall in line with a leader that's going to give it to them and they don't have to work for it. All they got to do is be a sycophant. And just like with Russia, you be a sycophant, you one of the oligarchs. These men are lining up in their red tie brigade. I call them the Stedford wives. They go to his court with red ties and try to be Trump. The Stedford wives just want to be oligarchs. They want Trump to empower them with tremendous wealth. As long as they're loyal, they're one of the ones. If it becomes a dictatorship, they're one of the chosen ones. They want to be one of his 12 disciples. And that's why it is what it is. Start paying attention to what they're doing. What human being goes around buying an outfit that matches one leader? Who's going to go around buying a suit with an extra long tie that's red to support Trump? I understand that they wear red ties for Republican and blue for Democrats. I get that. But those ties aren't usually the same, like all the way down to their pubic hairs. They're not like that. They are mimicking him, yet want to call Democrats and independents sheep. Liberals, I'm like, you will never find me dressing and acting like Biden. Ever. Thank you, Atlanta girl. Nobody would ever find any Democrat that I know or independent, liberal. We would never dress like the president. The president is meant to work for us, not the other way around. It's weird, right? But I want you guys to know something. Do some research on Trump. Boy, I'm going to tell y'all something about Trump that I just learned last night. I was enthralled by doing some research on him. Some similarities, like history, it repeats itself, right? If you don't know it. But he knows his history. And I think he's repeating his on purpose. Donald Trump's grandfather, Germany, I believe. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, Friedrich or whatever. His name was kind of like Fred too. So it was like Fred, his father, his grandfather was named Friedrich or whatever. So his father's Fred, and then his Fred had a son named Fred, which was Donald Trump's brother. That brother Fred was supposed to be the one that the dad passed everything down to. Not Trump, not Donald Trump, not at all. But see, Fred didn't like what his dad was doing. Fred Jr. or Third, whatever he is. He's passed away now. But he wanted to be an airline pilot. So the dad kind of like disowned him and talked shit about him. And I think he ended up dying of, he was an alcoholic or something like that. The father, Fred, the head father, he was, I forgot the exact term, but he never drank alcohol. He was against it. And so is Trump. Trump is just a mimic of his father. Thank you so much for the gift, G.L. Johnson. Trump is a clone of his father. At least that's what he wanted to be. But Trump never had the intellect that his father had. Now, what happened with Trump is he was a last choice, so to speak. He wanted his other son to do it, but Trump had to end up coming on board. Trump was a total fuck up. Everything he was doing, he was failing. His dad had to save him every time. Trump has a story about his dad gave him $1 million and he made it into $1 billion. All lies. Donald Trump got like $14 million to try something or whatever, and it failed, and he ended up losing money. But do you understand that Donald Trump's dad was so much of a crook? It's crazy. He had court cases too, and he paid off like senators and things of that nature to get away with a lot of stuff he did. Things will go away. Trump broke laws. Trump's dad, Fred Trump, broke many laws and got away with it. That's why Donald Trump is getting away with it. It is deep entrenched in that family how to get around laws. That's their thing. Donald Trump's dad came here and was born here, got here. He was his grandfather was an immigrant from Germany. They moved here. Donald Trump's dad was like one of the first to be born in America, and therefore he was a citizen. So that's where his dad comes from, right? Donald Trump's dad married his mother, who had been an immigrant. Donald Trump only marries immigrants. All of his wives have been immigrants. There's some similarity of him trying to be just like his dad, although his mother and his dad stayed together the entire time. Trump has not. Trump's family's been rich for a while. In Germany, it was rich. How did they make their money? The gold rush. His grandfather was rich from gold. His dad came here and along with his grandfather, but his dad came to the United States, and I think it was New York or somewhere around there. He started real estate, but he didn't start it first. He became like a bricklayer or something like that. He worked like menial jobs in real estate, worked himself up where his dad gave him money to buy property. His dad came along, if you know history, his dad came along during the time of the end of World War II. And what was happening then, if you know the history of why there's a difference between the wealth of black people in this country and white people. There's a big difference. Because in a time when they started building, after the war, they started building houses. See, houses were not a thing back then. Everybody lived in apartments of some sort. And so they ended up building the suburbs. And in the FHAs, the loans in which they gave these major like developers, in that contract of them building it, they could not sell a house or to a black person, because this was meant to build wealth for white people. And so black people couldn't build any wealth off of owning property like white people did in this country. That's why we have a big, huge difference in the wealth for black and white. So Trump's dad was a part of that. Now, Trump's dad got sued by the FHA, Federal Housing Administration, or Authority, I think it was at that time. He got sued by it. Why? This is how tricky Trump's dad was. The Federal Housing Administration will give you these subsidies, these loans to build this property, to help build wealth for white people when they came back and all stuff like that, and move out of the apartments and stuff like that in the city into out to the suburbs. It was a way of building wealth. Martin Luther King talked about it too. He talked about how the government, he said something like they gave the European immigrants, opportunity to make wealth in this country by giving them millions and millions of acres of land. Well, they did that too to the white people who were here, but they didn't undergird the black community by giving them jack. So people coming here as immigrants were getting treated better than African American people who had been here the whole time. So that helped immigrants build wealth over white people, over black people. So you had all these people growing, but black people being subdued on purpose. FHA in the contract with these developers said black people couldn't take part. Donald Trump's dad did the same thing and had a partner. Him and his partner ripped off basically the FHA. See, the FHA within that contract, basically, if you get this money and build like apartments or whatever you build, if it defaulted, you didn't have to pay it back. And depending on how much you was renting it for and how long you was renting it for, how much it was leased for, you could get back so much more money than what you bought it for. So his dad and his partner at the time bought land for like $34,000, almost $35,000. Bought land, built an apartment building or so on it, rented that property to their business for like 70-something thousand, 76, I want to believe, 77,000, like a month or something of that nature. Then, if that property defaulted, which it ultimately did, they would make $1.9 million from the government. And all they had to invest was $34,000. And then write up that this place was actually being leased for $70-something thousand. Does it remind you of how Trump, with the actual telling that his properties are worth $1 billion and then it's worth only $26 million? It's exactly what his dad did. This has been going on with him and his dad for a long time. And I'm sure it was going on with their grandfather too. See, their money was made because he was in the gold rush, but you know that Donald Trump's grandfather was really a person who owned a brothel. That's how they created businesses to make money. One of his major things was building brothels. It's insane to know this man's past if you look into it, and you'll start to see that Trump is every bit of the horrible human being that everybody says he is. It's all there for you to find out. The things that his dad did is exactly what he taught Trump to do. Him doing all this fraud, he's doing it, but the world is changing. His dad is dead and long gone, and those strategies are bored into Trump, and Trump doesn't know how to create new strategies. He's just doing what his dad did, and the world has changed. He got caught. He got away with something that society let him get away with. His dad got caught by the FHA. But his workaround was, we never spent the money. We never spent the money. The money's there. We never spent it. Right? So they got a fine. They got a fine for $65,000 for basically stealing $3.5 million by fraud. And got to keep the money. Come on, y'all. If this world, if you don't think it's white privilege in this country, and especially wealthy white privilege, you ain't living in the same logical world that I'm in. That's how Trump has gotten away with it. And today, that's how he's getting away with it. He knows how these laws work. He knows he can't be caught on a lot of things because he doesn't touch. How do you think Trump knows how to do this mafia shit and not using code words and all this shit like that? His dad taught him that. Everybody keeps talking about his Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn, I'm pretty sure, taught him a lot of it too. But his dad did it. 100%. That's why Fred Jr., the one who died he was an alcoholic, he didn't want to do it. He wanted no part of this crooked shit. He was a good man, based on what his daughter says. Mary Trump. He was a good man. Didn't want to do all that dirty shit. But Trump followed suit. Why? What else he gonna do? I don't care what y'all say. Donald Trump is a dipshit. He's not smart. His own niece said they paid for his college education. And after you hear about what his dad has been doing, you think that ain't true? Oh, one last thing about Donald Trump's family. He ain't the first one that not necessarily used bone spurs. But during the war, I think it was his dad. Was his dad supposed to go? Yeah, his dad was supposed to be in the war. And all of a sudden, his dad couldn't go. He what did he do? I think he left the country or something he did. You got to look at it. I forgot what exactly it is. I don't want to put it out there and be wrong, but I know he avoided the draft. Just like his son, or his son did just like his dad. I mean, like father, like son. There ain't nothing different about Trump than his father. They both are evil. They both have a temper. They both are entitled. And people want this man to lead. And they know what kind of man he is. They've been around him. That's the part that's crazy. They know what type of man he is, and they want him to lead them. That's an odd thing. Yeah, his great granddad. Okay, you say his great granddad was it, Mildred? Yeah, I just like I said, I learned about Trump last night and his family. I wasn't even trying to learn about this man, but I read that and I was like, what? Hey, Monica, how you doing? That's one of my members. Thank you, Monica Meadows. But yeah, it's insane. It's insane how things have happened. I'm gonna tell you one of the things that I'm gonna tell you a few things before I go. I want my brothers and sisters to understand. I ain't talking about just black people. I'm talking about human beings. I want y'all to know. Over tonight, I'll check. All right, take care, Lemon K. I want you guys to know something and be aware of something. History repeats itself if you don't know it. And I went over there earlier. You can watch this video. It's long. I get it. I went over there earlier. You're going to learn about what history, how it's going to repeat itself again, and how it's doing it. But see, a lot of people look at history and they think it's going to repeat the same way. No, it's just going to repeat the same style. Remember what I told you, that the first enslaved group that they tried to enslave permanently were the Irish, not the African. The African was the actual last. So it lets you know it wasn't about them hating one group over the other. They just enslaved the one that made better sense. So I want people to understand that if you start to pay attention to history, they're trying to go back to where it used to be, and they're trying to get rid of a lot of things in the Constitution. Now, if you are of the mindset that we have it so great, it's never going to go back to where it was and all this other stuff, I want you to understand that when this enslavement happened, nobody thought that that would be a reality. The neighbors, like I told you, were cool, enjoyed each other. It was just one day, a knock on the door, and a freed individual that was African was now a person who was enslaved. They did this to their friends and their neighbors. So when you talk about these people who have this white superiority complex, you listen to Ann Coulter. I'm telling you, listen to the details. Ann Coulter literally said WASP. My white brothers and sisters out there, not all of y'all are WASP. White Anglo-Saxon Protestants. She's talking about purity. There aren't really that many pure people like that existing today. But these people get into a group and just classify themselves as one. So don't think that you can't get it just because you're white. She separates WASP from other white people. Learn what she said. Go back and watch it. But even more so, if I were to gamble or guess, this is not a fact, this is my guess. That's why I say my other brothers and sisters who are of the quote-unquote minority persuasion, a lot of you guys don't like black people because you try to be white or classify as white and all these different things. And, you know, because society has made you think that we're lesser, so therefore, if you get on the white side of things, you're on the right side of things. I get it. But I want you to be aware that history, when it repeats itself, and it will if you don't pay attention and vote right. And I'm going to say something that's going to be shocking to some of y'all. The next enslaved culture, if you do not take heed to this dictator bullshit, the next enslaved culture will be Latin. Will be Latin. I know some of y'all can't stand our black asses, but we've been telling you the entire time, you need to pay attention. Quit trying to act like you white and focus on your culture. Because I'm going to tell you the reason why I believe it will be you. I don't have nothing against anybody's cultures. I love everybody. But I'm going to tell you why it's going to be Latin people. You cause the most threat. You're growing faster. You're the immigrant. And a lot of you up here talking about, oh, I don't like immigrants. Stop. Those are your people. Those are your people. Stop trying to get on the white side of things, because it sure as fuck ain't the right side of things. These racist people are going to enslave you next. You think it's going to be black? No. We don't cause the most threat. We got the biggest, loudest mouths to do it, but we don't cause the most threat. You do. That's why they're talking about you. Brown, the browning of America. They ain't saying nothing about the blacking of America. They already think they got us in control. We ain't going to do nothing. That's what they think. You're the next ones. And ask yourself, again, why am I saying this? It's not because I don't like y'all. I love y'all. It's because I'm a student of history. And you cause the most threat. They're doing studies about numbers. Both you and our culture, the black culture and the Latin culture, are both growing faster in this country than the white culture. That's why they wanted to get rid of Roe versus Wade. They need white women to start producing like crazy. Now you start getting the hint. I told you guys a while back ago, if you've been following me, that they're going to get rid of Roe versus Wade and they're going to force white women to have babies. You don't care if you don't want one. I didn't foresee starting at a teenage, ripe age that they were talking about now. But these people talk about what they really are trying to do. They put it out into society to see how y'all respond. When you play it off like it ain't nothing, now I got them. Because they think I'm talking shit while I'm actually formulating and plotting a plan. And they ain't going to know, because they're going to start voting us in. And we're just going to pass that law, and life will change. They're very sneaky. They're very strategic. They're going to change your life if you don't pay attention to it. And they know most of us are too ignorant and too unaware of our surroundings that we just, I like him because he likes the things I like. But don't tell you that he is an advocate for Project 2025. Or he may tell you by saying, marriage is important and having children early is important. Or why go to college, ladies? Be with your husband. Those are plots to put people of power that you like, football players. They're going to end up being baseball players that are going to come out and say that. Politicians are going to say that. People that you like, actors, are going to come out and start saying that. They're going to start putting that out there little by little till you get comfortable or it becomes a normal thing to hear it. Once you put it in society and you don't regurgitate that and throw it back at them, it starts to grow and grow and grow and grow till it becomes normal. That's how slavery started. Put it in the churches, get some people's minds to change. The neighbors change their minds. The neighbors change their minds. Come to church with me. Come to church with me. You need to be saved. African guy? No, don't come to church. It's really not good for you. Come to church with me. Infiltrate. Lord wants you to do it. Jesus said that the black man and the African is just the dirtiest thing. Yes, Jesus, I follow your way. Boom, boom, boom. There you go. 5 years, 10 years down the road, enslavement started. They played a long game, not the short game. You guys don't see it now, but I'm going to tell you, take a bird's eye view. Why are these programs out here? Who spent the money for Project 2025? I suggest you go read some of it. These things that they're saying about women getting pregnant, not even women, girls getting pregnant, young kids starting to work. Why do you think they want young kids, 13, 14 years old, to start working now like grown-ass people? Because they got to be able to take care of the babies that they're going to have. They want these kids to start mating. But they're not telling you that. I'm asking you to put 1 and 1 together and come up with 2. Stop looking at it as 15 or 11. Say that the women have to have babies now. Then give 13 and 14-year-old kids opportunities to take care of their children by giving them jobs early. This is the same shit that happened in the 1800s. If you ever watched Little House on the Prairie, that's it. Laura Ingalls and Manly. That's it. Pay attention, people. This ain't no conspiracy theory. Check out what is happening. They're changing it. They're not just talking about it. They're changing. They've been talking about Roe versus Wade forever. It's changed. Y'all thought it couldn't happen. Did you ever think in 2024 you would have a white grown-ass man talking about fertile, ripe age of girls to have babies and get married to their rapist, to the person who got them pregnant, not going to college, be with your husband? Do you see the theme? Do we have to spell it out for you? Keep paying attention. In society, it's going to keep popping up. Why? Because we aren't regurgitating it. We're not regurgitating. We aren't throwing it back up. We're starting to like taste it. Sour. But you're not throwing it back up and saying, fuck you, fuck that. So you're starting to get used to it. That's how they do it. Little by little by little. Learn how slavery started and you'll see it. Getting back to near the end of what I'm trying to say, when I talk about the enslavement happening again and it being Latin people, because you cause them the most threat. Because there's more numbers coming in, more opportunities for you, and they feel like 100% threatened by where you're going to go. Your voting bloc gives Democrats, in their mind, their studies, gives the Democrats more power. They already done lost black people. They know that. They ain't even trying. They're trying with you. And no matter how many of you try to go over there in the Republican Party and try, you are the next enslaved group if it repeats itself. Pay attention to history and you'll see the same things they did back then. See, a lot of people don't pay attention. How did slavery start? No, it weren't just brought here. No. They literally changed the way things happened by making people believe there was something wrong with the culture. And they started by saying outrageous things in church. And can you imagine the first time that they probably did it? The white people who loved their black African neighbors who were cherished in the community had to be like, that's crazy. Why would they say that? That don't make any sense. My neighbor's cool. 3 weeks down the line, 6 weeks down the line, going to church every Sunday. I don't know what it was back then because, church now has evolved that you in church like every day. But I don't know what their regimen was. Thursday and Sunday and Bible study, constantly repeating this stuff and saying God wants it. These people became brainwashed in believing that God wanted something like this, even though in the Bible it says, love thy neighbor as I love thyself. But they gave you the passages. Don't read it. Just come to church and I'll teach it to you. A lot of people were illiterate. And so they taught them lies. And they used these Bibles to keep it going, keep it alive. So they're doing that same thing now, but they're doing it through organizations. These American liberties organizations where they're infiltrating these communities and letting them know these things are happening and we don't see it. You really have to go search and look for it and be like, man, this is some crazy stuff. Who's reading this crap? And then you'll see conservatives talk all the time about where they're getting their information, and it's from these organizations who are putting in their minds over and over and over. How do you think Q started? QAnon. Did you ever think in your lifetime that you could find a human being that would literally look on the internet or some source, read, like Where's Waldo type of shit? Like, back in the day in the newspapers, they're like, oh, find this, find that. They literally would go online to go read another thing, to go deeper and go to DuckDuckGo and find something else, and then get a message from Q? Did you think human beings would be that stupid? To literally think that was like a real source to get information. It's not. The only reason that stuff kind of sets in is because that individual already had that dark heart. They were just feeding the dark people. They were giving them what they already wanted. It was medicine for them. It allowed them to feel important. This person understands me. They understand my inferior complex, and they're making me feel superior. So once I begin to feel superior, now I believe in this Q because Q makes me feel good. It is it's a cult, but it is a cult that makes them feel important. And so when people say you got to tap into what they're talking about, and Sonny Liston said we got to listen to them, you can't listen to them. These people are literally insane. They need treatment medically, not for fucking like, let me rationalize with you. How do you rationalize with irrational people? Someone who can believe in space lasers. And not only that, they're Jewish. A Jewish space laser? What the hell is that? Do you understand that in the 80s, 70s, anybody walking around talking about, did you see the Jewish space laser? You would be immediately, the next day, there would be men in white suits with a straight jacket hauling your ass off to some hospital. That shit is norm now. People hear that and don't be like, ain't that bitch crazy? No. They literally listen to it and they're like, what's wrong with that? Oh, that's a little off. No, that's psychotic. That's extremely crazy. That's not even a little bit crazy. That's extremely crazy. And it's already infiltrated our society to be just quirky. She's just, she's a little off. No, straight jacket time. Straight jacket. But in our society now, these people come out and you want to say, oh, they can have their own belief. They can, but they shouldn't be leaders. Would you want somebody like that watching your children? That woman couldn't watch my dog, and I don't even have one. Talking like that, you would not let that woman into your house and take care of something that you love preciously. And if you do, you don't love what you got her in control of. There's no way. Your kid come back, but Dad, you know that toe fungus tastes great? Like, what? Toe fungus? What? Because why? Because idiot girl, whom y'all think got a brain, the cowardly lion over here, not even the cowardly lion, who was the one that needed a brain? The scarecrow. It's just insane. And it's normal to think that these people, that they would actually vote in somebody who literally thought there was such thing as a Jewish space laser. Never produced one, but it was real. So real that she was talking about it in public. This is the type of shit you tell a friend or something when you're drunk or high. She was saying it for real, sober. All right? I'm just saying, your vote matters. And I don't care. I mean, I'm not trying to force you to vote for anybody. I'm voting Democrat because I want a democracy and I want somebody who can win. I don't agree with everything that Joe Biden has done, but I do understand he's done a lot. But Like I said, I'm not here to talk or speak for you. I'm speaking for myself and what I'm going to do. But I am a student of history, and it will repeat itself with Trump. His own father's history repeated with him. You think he ain't trying to do that again? It's insane to me that people don't pay attention. If you are invest in stocks, you look at the stocks and you have to learn the history of the stocks so that you'll know when it's going up or down, like if that is a trend. And when you start to see that trend, you know when to put in more money and when not to. At least you don't always know 100% what's going to happen, but that's the only way you'll know. So if you look at history, there are trends. And if you don't understand that the trend that you're in right now, you're going to make the wrong decision and take yourself to a place where you really didn't want to be. But people always just gamble on shit. It'll be all right. And when it's not, you really don't have any room to bitch about it. The crap you're in is the crap you put yourself in. So whomever you vote for, please do your homework and look at the history of that individual, of the things that they want to do, the plans they got. Before I let go on this particular topic, one of the things that I would love for people to do is like, oftentimes one culture thinks that a president has to do everything for them. Every culture, when a president comes in, gets something for their culture, not everything for their culture. So if you're a poor white person, something happens for you. If you're a poor Latin and Asian or black, something happens for you, and if you advocate for it, and all middle class and also the wealthy and uber wealthy, some things happen for you, but not everything. So when you get of the mindset that a president got in and the 3 things that you wanted didn't happen, but 2 did, and you pissed off you didn't get that 3rd one, he's not the great president, you don't get everything. Work hard on the things that you want. And understand that other people are seeking stuff too. It's not just you living in this country. And if you get something that you want, 1 or 2 things that you want, you've succeeded. If you got nothing, I get it. But if you got 1, 2, maybe 3 things, man, you winning. But the way our society is like, I want all or nothing. I didn't get this out of it. Well, you got the tax break, you got this, you got that, all these different things, right? You got jobs, you got, inflation's bad. Well, what else has happened? Of course, your inflation went, but no president really can control the inflation. So why are you worried about inflation as if a president can control that? They can't. So the things that really matter that is in the control of the next leader is what you should be focused on. They, independents, Republicans, Democrats, all that, they say all this crap to get you to vote for them. But look for what you want, right, to get passed. Look at the policies in which people are trying to get those things passed and vote for the one that benefits you. I've looked. I've seen Joe Biden is my choice based off the stats, not just because he's Democrat, based off the stats. I'm not listening to anybody telling me what Democrats and Republicans are doing. I do the homework. And I made my choice based on an educated choice, not a feeling at all. Educated choice. I love democracy. Donald Trump doesn't talk about, he plays with democracy. He wants it gone. Plays with dictatorship. You don't have to tell me twice. If a person tells me something once of what they like, you don't need to tell me twice. I haven't heard the word dictatorship come out of President Biden's mouth. Trump has said it multiple times. Like I told you and like I showed you, when people want to change something, they put it out there to see how you respond. If you're not outraged and you're not pushing that shit back at him or her, they start to implement little by little because you get comfortable with it. Keep in mind, Trump has talked about dictatorship. What's come up to back that up after he talked about it? Project 2025. It's how they unleash it. Now you're starting to see them put it into Congress. You'd be shocked at first, but when you stop talking about it, they sneakily put in one of those plans, pass it. And that has a domino effect. They pass the next one. And you may not know it. It already started. The first thing was to get conservatives in to get rid of Roe versus Wade. They already started it. It ain't an idea or a thought. It's a plan that's already acted on. It's just falling down in stages. And because it's palatable for some, they don't recognize the major plan. And they put it out there on Project 25, and they know most of y'all ain't going to read it. You're going to deal with it once it starts to be in process to be passed. And then it's way too late. So I just wanted to let people know. I mean, that's what I do. I just want to be honest with you, factual, and have you go check these things and educate me too on things. I know there's something about Project 25 that I don't know. I'm slowly getting through all of it, but the little things that I've read, I don't see how any government would allow this. You think Putin would allow something that's going to try and change his country into a democracy or whatever it is, instead of a dictatorship, whatever he's got? You think he would do that? I think he's supposed to have a democracy, but it really isn't. But let's just say Kim Jong-un. You think he's going to sit there and allow somebody to write a plan about turning North Korea into a democracy? That person would be under the ground for sunlight. If it was written at night, that person ain't seeing that piece of paper, and that person ain't seeing the light of day. And America's allowing these people to write these things and implement them. And only can tell you, and the only thing that tells me is they want it. Because if you ain't fighting it and ignoring it, you just don't want to be the bad parent. You're just going to let the bad parent do it. And that's what I'm saying to Democratic leaders. Y'all need to fight. I'm tired of this waiting until it actually happens. No, you need to fight. And you guys, you need to vote these idiots out and get somebody in that would destroy this whole thing, and we can get back to having real Democrats or independent Democrats, but real Democrats too, I guess, Republicans and independents who really give a damn about this country and not trying to change it into this weird power structure. And I want other people to know as well, I understand that Democrats and Republicans and liberals all have racists in them. I'm not ignorant. I know the history of all this stuff in this country. That's why I know some of these Democrats want exactly what they're doing, and they're silent on it. I'm talking to the good white people, good people of all races, black, Latin, Asian, that don't want this. Vote out that Democrat that's got his mouth closed on this topic as well. Vote out that independent that's got their mouths closed on this topic as well. Because they, if they're not combating this, they're for this. Just because you don't open your mouth don't mean you're against it. It means that you're probably for it. We need you to open your mouth. And the idea that some of these Democrats and independents are silent about this Project 2025 should tell you a lot. So even when you vote for your Democrat or independent, ask them what is their feeling or thoughts on Project 2025. And vote accordingly. All right. I did my talk. Your boy getting hungry. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much, Atlanta Girl. I appreciate it. I saw you pin that. And those also on my YouTube channel. I appreciate y'all. I'm out here trying to do my thing. Who was that? Monica Meadows. How you doing? I'm going to answer some of these things if I can go back to talk to y'all. You're welcome. Not a number. You're very welcome. I appreciate you, Glenda. Much love. Silence is complicit, right? Lil Papa Smurf, 100%. Topic Forever Man. We've been on a little bit of everything, man, but it's pretty much just when I get finished with this, it's gonna do something. You can go back and watch it if you want. It's a while. It's a long one, but we went all over the place. The Vivek and culture. how slavery started in this country and how things are repeating. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it, things of that nature. And what is the next enslaved race if we don't pay attention to what's going on? It won't, I believe, it won't be black people. And that's the problem with a lot of people. They don't pay attention to how history works. The biggest threat is the biggest threat or the ones who have the less power within the country are usually the ones that are going to be taken. And my choice is going to be Latin people. Not my choice, my thought process based off of history, because they're the ones that causes the biggest threat to racist white men. Voss Talker. That's what I believe. I could be wrong. Y'all can make your own choices. I'm not saying that's gospel. I just looked at the history and I was like, whoa, this is more likely makes sense because of what happened prior. Thank you, Kate. What we got? See what he said. Thanks for the live. Thank you, C. Elf. I appreciate you. What's up, was it Tyred? I'm gonna give y'all some shout outs. Make sure I get my member shout outs first. I see one. I just saw Monica Meadows. Of course, in here. Jazzy Peach, what's going on? You're welcome. I appreciate you. I was talking, so I really wasn't interactive. I got a music show tonight on TikTok. I'll see y'all there about 7 o'clock. It's already 5, y'all. 2 hours before we do our music show. Old school music on TikTok, I do. Can't do it on YouTube because they flag me with the music. But if you like old school music, go to my TikTok channel, and I do 2 requests, and then the other, you get 2 requests. I play my list, then I play your list, and then I close it out. And that's my long music show. It's like 5-6 hours long, so we get it in. But you gotta love old school music. You can love all music. I love all music, but come in with your request and give us something that you love and help us learn about what you love. So that's what we do on TikTok every Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Monica Meadows is in the house. Thank you so much. I'm trying to go back and look at members on YouTube. I'm looking at you, Monica. I know Sheaf gave me $5. I appreciate you for that. I see a lot of comments in here. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I think I was the only member that showed up. In here, I got all kind of members in TikTok. 10-4, I'm out. Catch you next time. 10-4. All right, Big G, take care. Take care. Old school. Yeah, old school music. It's anything. Like for me, old school, we go back to like 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. We went back to some of the jazz, maybe 20s. We do jazz sometimes. Well, we do jazz all the time. But it's jazz, blues, smooth R&B, all kinds of different R&B versions, new school stuff sometimes, Marvin Gaye, the Isley Brothers, all that. We get it in. I apologize for my language. No, you good, Garland. Building a community like this is exactly what we need. Most definitely, Garland. That's what we do. If you see me here on TikTok, I'm going to do more lives, but, it's like I'm building it. As you can see, back here, I've been building this whole studio. And I still got painting to do. I don't know if y'all can see the little spotty paint. It'll be darker the next time you see it. But I got to paint even later on today. What's up, Paul Smith? What's happening? That's what's up. What's up, man? I appreciate you. Another member just walked in. But yeah, this is what I do, build community around things that I love. And I love the facts. And people who on TikTok have been with me longer, they'll know that everything I do is factual. I love to be held accountable for what I say and what I do. So if you see something that I said that may be false and you can validate it with a source, I have no problem actually changing it, because I don't have a problem with being wrong. I have a problem with lying. And if I get it wrong, it's not because I lied to you. It's because I got it wrong. I'm human. But the whole point of this is get to facts. Because if we all have a foundation of facts, then we can have our opinions about the facts. But when we have people who have a foundation but have a difference of opinion on that foundation, and then you got a whole group over here that has an alternative foundation that's made off of lies, there's really no foundation. It just forms wherever way it wants just to be true. That the sky is blue. Well, it could be green. No, it's blue. Nah, but it's kind of purplish. No, it's not. It's blue. Now let's work with it. It may be light blue. It may be, whatever, or it might be white and be a deception of looking at something else or whatever. But you can't say it's a color when it's not, or it's not factual. And so that's why I do what I do, is because I get tired of people trying to change lies just so they can feel good or feel smart. I am ignorant on a lot of things. That's why you don't hear me talk about building a car. I'm a dumbass if it came to a car. I would never go to a person who is a mechanic, like, yo, man, I think you need to move. I wouldn't be doing that. But I know people who will. Be like, you sure you're doing that right? Do you have a master in this or something? You know how to build cars from scratch? No, I don't. Then shut the fuck up. What you talking about? Why you acting like you know something when you don't? And that's what I do. I talk about what I know, and what I learn I share, because I'm a person of, I don't want to be full of knowledge and die with this. I want to be empty. I want to give it all out while I'm alive, so that everything that was given to me in my 53 years now, that I can give it back to people who may not have that knowledge. So therefore they can be filled and I can be empty. Because I don't need it no longer. As I get older and older, my life's going to be gone. My life is about filling other people up, replenishing what I know and giving it to other people so that they can have a better life than I had, better opportunities than I had. That's what it's all about. That's why we're here. I always tell people life is not a me thing. It's a we thing. It's about we, not me. And so many people are filled with me and competition, and they find themselves depressed and angry and all that. Why? Because you ain't stepping into your brilliance. You stepping into somebody else's and trying to mimic them, trying to be them, and you will never be them. You are brilliant independently. Things you do, I will never do. I will fail at. If I try to be you, I will be a failure 100%. And how will I feel? Like a failure. I can't succeed at being you. I can't be successful being you. That's why I say I'm independently brilliant. You can't compete with me at being me. And I can't compete at you at being you. Your brilliance is yours. The only thing I can do is add to your brilliance, or I can be deceitful and try to hold your brilliance down. That's not my world. My world is build up your brilliance so I can watch it grow, so I can be a part of it. When I plant my seeds of wisdom into you, I want to see how it grows in you. Because when I was a kid, I always give love to this man. His name is Mr. Hagen when I grew up in Indiana. When I was a child, he planted that seed into me and many others. Mr. Lovett, another friend's father, planted that seed into me. It wasn't supposed to die with me. I was supposed to give it to somebody else because they love me enough to give me that wisdom. And I love everybody else enough to give it back. Do you understand what this world would be like if everybody had to learn everything from scratch? I mean, you never get nowhere. If it took me 50 years to get somewhere and I never told you, I could tell you and you can get there at 20. Why I got a problem with that? I want you to get there at 20. I want you to enjoy your life a lot better than I enjoy mine. Why wouldn't I want that? I ain't got no animosity and anger towards you. I got love for you. I want you to have a better life. I don't want you to be depressed. I don't want you to be held back. And people who do, I just don't get. But it is what it is. So that's what I do. I give back. I let people know. Thank you, Mildred. I see you too. I let people know. Dunning-Kruger. There you go, Paul Smith. Hey, man, so much to say on that. That's a whole other conversation, right? I'm going to have to get together one day and, members or something like that and do a live stream just for members so we can get to talk on both platforms, get to talk in depth, because I know I got some brilliant people in here. And like I said, here's the thing. Life is reciprocal. I give wisdom because people have given it to me. But what I also learned was that I need to listen to more wise people, put myself around wise people. If I'm the smartest man in the room, that's not a good thing. So I want to put myself into my TikTok lives. I put myself around smart people because I want to learn from them. I have a show on Wednesdays on TikTok. It's mental health. And I learn about mental health from them because as a black man growing up, I wasn't taught mental health stuff. It was like, whatever, dude, get over it. Why are you crying, man? Suck it up. What's going on with you? You know what I'm saying? And you were made to feel weak or whatever. But when I started this mental health thing, man, it was like light years. We meditate at the beginning, meditate at the end, and in the middle we learn about mental health and different issues and things that people have and things that we may even have ourselves. And man, it opens up your life. It's like therapy with a bunch of brilliant people in a room educating you who have been through therapy. That's what this is all about. If they didn't share with me, I wouldn't know a lot more than I know. And if I didn't share with some of them, they wouldn't know. And if I didn't create that room, some of them wouldn't know. We're all loving, learning, and have a wonderful environment. There's no reason we shouldn't have that. Now, people always see me on TikTok and saying it, or YouTube, and saying straight facts, no chaser, and all stuff like that, and they hear me cursing, they don't like cursing. Then you have to understand all of us have different varying levels of our bodies and minds. I'm not one-dimensional. I don't have to curse sometimes, but when you're trying to get something across that you fed up with, you say it the way you feel it. That's the way I do. I don't want to be hindered by what somebody may have, a feeling you may have. Oh, I don't like that word. Then don't watch. It's not meant for you. But for those who have, like, it gives them power, it gives them strength, that's what I do it for. It makes them laugh. That's what I do it for. But then I have moments like this where I don't have to curse that much. I often get people telling me when they see me curse on Straight Facts, No Chaser, and they see me do that on, Trump Whisper Translating Stupid, they say the things like, you're ignorant. You should have a better vocabulary. You should this, that, and the other. And I'm like, you should, I don't say nothing to them, but I think about it. I say, you should be less judgmental because you got to understand something. There are varying levels to people. My intellect does not delineate from me being able to curse. It's like, if anything, if I was going to reply to them, I say, if anything, my ability to adapt to any particular environment that I am in increases my intellect, doesn't decrease it. If I can get across what I want without cursing and get across what I do want as well with cursing, I'm just bilingual with the language, trilingual with the language. You're the one that's limited because you limit yourself based off of ideologies that somebody put in your head. So that's the way I look at it. So you can be what you want to be. And I'm not going to tell you that you should curse. I'm just saying is you don't have the right to tell somebody not to, but you do have the right to turn it off. Move along. You feel me? So don't ever get the idea that just because you see somebody one way, that's the only way that they are. It's such a limited idea. I see people who may speak, with an accent and everything like that, and you can discount them like, oh, they don't really know this. That person might be a genius. It's you're the one with the limited thinking, not them. Oftentimes you get made a fool out of if you get to learn to know the people that you judge or you prejudge. That's just facts. A lot of people discount young people. There's some brilliant young people out there. Have more wisdom than some people at 53. And you can just close your mouth and listen. And don't think just because I'm older, I'm wiser. Learn. You have an arsenal of knowledge, and so have they. And you can listen and be like, oh, I didn't know that. And add it to your arsenal. That's the way I look at it. I can be taught by anybody, even a baby. You feel me? All right. Jay Stone's in the house. Y'all going to see me in about a couple hours here. I want to thank you guys so much for coming out. You know what I mean? Your boy going to go get something to eat and then bounce on this music show a little bit later. But my thing, I'm doing a podcast. It's going to start pretty soon. I have merch, and the young lady who's built my merch, who's worked with me to design everything, she's going to be the first person, a young black girl from New Jersey. She's out here doing her thing, and I got some real good questions to ask for her. And she has so many like dreams and aspirations that I have no doubt that she will achieve, because at her young age, she's already designing stuff for movies and TV shows, and got her own store like downtown, just got a storefront, and it's just insane what this young girl is doing. And I want other people to learn what she's doing, and she is of the mindset of teaching people what she's doing. And she has a program that she's trying to build, and she's going to do it, but she hasn't done it yet. She's still working. But her plan, and I want to give it all away, but her plan is to have something for like a boys and girls club for fashion, to be able to teach young poor people a way out. And we sat down for like an hour or so, over an hour. I didn't expect it. I thought I was gonna come there and say, "Hey, yeah, design. I want it like this and that." And then when I met her, man, it was. I had to talk to her. I had to bring it to y'all because I want you to see this spirit. I love finding people who are just wonderful human beings and can teach people their own age or younger or even older about their successes, mainly through their failures and their triumphs and their hurdles. So yeah, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. So thank you guys. In a demeaning manner or threat. No worries. I don't know Japanese. I can find out later. If I can get this, if I can record it, I'll find out what's going on. How you doing? Is it Kenyuko? Appreciate you. All right. Drew, people want you to run for office. Hey, Tommy B. What's up, Tommy B? Want me to run for office? Man, the thing is, like, I'm always, it's like saying, talk the talk and walk the walk. I've been saying no, but I have to like start walking it, and maybe I'll start being more active in my community first. I am a firm believer of a person really having knowledge and wisdom of something and not just thinking they do. That's why I can't stand when people try to get positions and they don't know what they're doing. They just want it. And I'm like, do some homework behind it. Do some research. You don't have to have a college education to get it. But do me a favor, get online, find some free courses. Don't just think you can do it. Learn how to do it, and then apply yourself. You don't have to go through a 4-year college the way the world is now. You can find Udemy or Udemy, how you spell it, how you say it rather, and different courses like that, and teach yourself programming. That's how I taught myself how to write programs and build apps. I went on Udemy for about a good year going through it, taking courses, and I learned how to write the code for Apple. And again, it's mediocre at best, but when I see it, I understand it. I would have never found myself going to Apple and be like, yo, can I get a job? Not knowing nothing. Even though now you can, but that's just my old school way of doing things. So, all right, you guys have a great day, blessed day. It is Friday, so have a great weekend. Be safe. I try and do more lives, YouTube if you want it. I'll try to do more lives here pretty soon. I'm trying to get there. One of the things that I want to do is come on for both of us, is to come on and have a meeting of the minds and just talk good stuff. I'm always fighting, trying to get people to understand things so that we can be on the same level, meaning like caring about one another and realizing that, like I said before, poor white people want something from the government. Poor black people, Latin, Asian. There's no reason we shouldn't be fighting for each other. It's not that if I get something, it comes out of the mouths of poor white people. That's what rich white people and rich people want us to believe. That's why they always got us fighting each other. But if poor white people want better jobs in their communities and whatever, and poor black people want the same, why can't they come together and find out what contracts are going on and make a bid for each one? You know what I mean? And fight for each other to get it in their community. Like, what benefits your community the most? Let's say in the black community, they may have, they're good at, they want more of a, maybe they want a car community in their community, and maybe in the white community they want like a Nike or Adidas. Then why can't we fight for each community to get what they want? Why we gotta be fighting against each other? You know what I mean? But it's a thing of coming together and saying, this is what we need. This is what we think we need. It's not I get it and you don't. I find that the greed is what happens. I want all and you get nothing. I want everything I ask for and you get nothing. Fuck you. That shit is where we get nowhere. And sad as it may seem about politics and so forth, so many people that are in politics are so focused on power, it's damn near impossible to get shit done. It's impossible. So I believe it has to be the people that want these things to happen. And it's going to be the people that make the change. And it's got to be the people listening to the people, not the government people, because they got an agenda that's out of this world. It's going to be community people and their leaders saying, hey, let's have a conversation outside of the government. What do you think you need in your community for your people? What are they dealing with? What's going on over here? Actually care. What's going on in your community? Stop talking about what black people didn't get and what white people didn't get. What do you want in your community? How do you think your community do better? Level-headed people coming together is where it happens. Hateful people from any culture is going to try and debate and fight, and you ain't gonna never get nothing done. And that's the point of rich people. They don't want you guys to ever get anything done. I say you guys like I ain't one of them. They don't want us to get nothing done. Nothing. And they're succeeding because we're falling into our own little silos of competition and hate. We got to make it work. All right. I'll try to go a few times. I love talking to y'all. I really do. And that's why I don't like going all the times. I could talk forever, but I mess around, I have no voice. Be a show tonight, be a mute. But I hope this was good for y'all. I love y'all. I appreciate you. Just know I'm always going facts first. Fuck anybody's feelings when it's not based in fact. When I talk about fuck your feelings, I mean if your point or argument is based on a lie, I don't care how you feel about that lie. But if it's based in fact, then we can all talk about how our opinions and feelings about that fact so that we can actually have some kind of growth. You can't grow when the soil is rancid. If you're based on a lie, that's not anything that can grow from that. But if we're based in fact, we can build from that. That's why I love the facts, because it's the only foundation that something can grow from. Healthy, strong, long-lasting. Take care.